between week 3 and week 4. If you could do that for me, that'd be great. It's important that the school has as many of those done as possible. So thank you guys so much for that in advance. All right, we are winding down, my friends. We are winding down. Just a quick reminder. I know most of you guys already know, but class ends on this Thursday at 9:59. Why do they talk about that so much? You will not believe the number of people that are going to call me on Thursday. Oh, yeah. Yes, Eduardo. They're going to call me. They're going to say, I didn't know class ended. You guys don't even know. I've been doing this for years and it is never fails. I don't know. I know. I get everything. I still get the dog ate my homework and all of it. You guys would be surprised. So anyway, you have to make those announcements. I apologize. It's for the people in the back. All right. So just know that, remember, your final is open. You have access to your final. If there's anything outstanding that you need to turn in, my friends, it must be turned in by tomorrow. I'm going to go through your classes. I'm going to make sure everything that can be turned in is open for you to turn in. Please turn it in. Please, my friends, I have too many students to work through. And it's very important that you guys get done what you can get done. The assignments will close tomorrow at 11:59. The only assignments that will be open is the final and your career plan project. So if you owe me anything, if there's any outstanding work, please get it done by tomorrow at midnight. As soon as I get off, I'm going to make sure most things are open for you to turn it in that you can. All right. Okay. For today, we are in chapter 14, right? Today, we are in chapter 14. Chapter 14 kind of piggybacks off of what we've been talking about in terms of preparing you for your career. Professionalism. I know we've all heard of the term professionalism, right? What do people always say? You need to be professional. You need to be professional. What does that even mean? Well, what they're essentially saying is that it's a soft skill. And by now we know the difference between a soft skill and a hard skill. So what type of soft skill? What are the characteristics of that? Do you have sound judgment, right? Do you know how to emotionally regulate yourself? Do you know how to control your behavior? Professionalism has nothing to do with you pointing the finger. It has everything to do with you knowing how to behave in a situation. It includes both workplace skills and your own self-management skills. When we talk about self-management, these are the skills that enable you to control your personal habits and make the best use of your time. So yes, it does include, no one's going to tell you when to get up. No one's going to tell you that, hey, you need to be dependable. My friends, most people do not pay attention to what you say. They pay attention to what you do. You can, I don't know why, and I don't know what this is, but there are people in this world that feel, maybe because some people, their love language is what they hear, that they can say pretty much whatever and people will believe it. Most people don't. They just are being polite. They'll nod, they'll say okay, and then they'll walk away and not believe anything that comes out of your mouth. Is that not the case? Because people pay attention to what you do. Is that not right? Erica says amen. That is correct. So in business, You cannot say, oh, I love my job. Oh, I love this project. Oh, I think I want a promotion. And none of what you've done have shown that. You're late. You're not a team player. You're not dependable. You got 1,003,000 excuses. It's like, who in their right mind would put you in charge of their money? Essentially, when you're asking someone to be a supervisor or a manager or to take on an extra project, you're basically saying, could you put me in charge of your money? You can trust me. Like, come on, really? You have to have enough emotional regulation. That means within yourself to know how to be around other people. How many people have ever worked with someone that does not know how to control their emotions? Isn't that embarrassing? I don't know about you guys, but I'm embarrassed for them because, part of me, and maybe it's just the mother in me that feels like, oh my God, baby, nobody taught you that's inappropriate. I tend to mother people too much. My basic instinct is to say, oh my goodness, oh poor baby, nobody taught you not to do that. That is inappropriate. I teach my child one word my child knows more than anything is the word inappropriate. Madam, that's inappropriate. You do not so quickly. And because guess what happens? Once she becomes an adult, people are going to judge her based upon what she knows. Does she know how to behave? The access to things that she will get won't come just from what she knows, but what in her head, but how she behaves. It has a lot to do with it. So you have to exercise these things. Yes, being on time. Nobody should have to tell you to be on time. Like, really? You got time is money. Have we not heard that before? I'm not telling you things that you do not know, but I am telling you things that are going to be the difference between a successful career person and a non-successful career person. My friends, I know a little bit of something about success. I have a whole bunch of things behind my name and a whole bunch of positions I have been at. And I am telling you from someone that has hired and has unfortunately had to fire. I hate firing people. It gives me anxiety. I don't know how. I don't like delivering bad news to people. Even when I've had individuals that have done some really horrendous things, right? Because I do not like hurting people, but unfortunately, it's par for the course. And I am telling you things that I want you to not mess up your career. People mess their careers up. Y'all saw the man on the what is that thing? The CEO, the CE and the O. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Like, where was your emotional intelligence? I've seen people that this is the days of technology. Nothing is secret. It's not like back in the day you could just go hide yourself off and do some unthinkable stuff and think nobody will know. Today, all they need is a cell phone to take a picture or a video of you, and that's it for you, my friend. Like, what were you thinking? But whatever. So being dependable, it is a huge thing. Let me tell you, being dependable has probably gotten me 30% of the positions I've had throughout my career. Just being dependable, being that person that does what I say I'm going to do. As a consultant, working for people, doing what you say you're going to do is huge. It is huge. People, especially if you're dealing with small businesses and if you're going to start your own business and you're working with small businesses and they don't have a lot of money. And imagine the number of people that have said they're going to do something and they don't do it. Now, here you come saying the same thing. Do follow through. If you want to be successful in life, if you want to run a successful company, do what you say you are going to do. Some of you may say, well, Miss Taylor, how successful are you? Enough? Let me tell you something about success. Success has to do with how many times can you fall and get back up? How quickly can you recover? Are you going to fall? Oh, yeah. You're going to fall. I'm telling you right now. That's life, baby. You're going to fall. However, how quickly can you recover determines your success. Things will happen. Look at me. I was a contractor for Deloitte. Anybody know Deloitte? I've heard them, one of the top 4 major consulting firms in the nation. And guess what? New administration came and we all lost our jobs. We all lost our contracts. Yeah, just like that. Boom, gone. And it was a lot of money. I'm tell you right now, it was a couple dollars. It was, I was in tears. I'm not even gonna lie about it, right? But gone just like that. But was I able? Go ahead, Draco. You have a question, or your hand's just raised? You can come off if you need to talk. We're not sure. Your hand is raised, but we can't hear you. Let me see if I can unmute you for you. It wasn't even let me unmute. Nope. So anyway, it happens, but my dependability, my ability to keep my word has allowed me to bounce back from it. Even this job here, I worked for Southern Tech a few years ago, and just so happens around that time that contract was ending, someone hit me up from Southern Tech, and they was like, "Hey, Miss Taylor," it wasn't even about, "Hey, can you come back and teach for us?" It was like, "Can you do me a favor?" And I was like, "Sure, I can do you a favor." Did a favor, and guess what? Next thing I know, hey, would you like to come back and work for us? I wasn't even expecting it. But you know what got me that opportunity? Being dependable. Being dependable. Just doing what you say you're going to do. It'll get you far. I promise you it will. I promise you. Obviously, time management is good. If you're going to be doing projects and being project managers and you don't know how to deal with time, let me say this to you. You may want to look up another profession. None of the professions that you guys are in allows you to be flexible with your time in terms of working on projects. You need to have good time management. You understand? You have to have good time management. You need to know how to prioritize things, right? Most of you guys are going to be working for small businesses or medium-sized businesses, and they're juggling multiple customers, and they need you to be on this job site and that job site or whatever. They don't have time for you not to manage your time with. And probably the most important thing, as far as I'm concerned, is emotional regulation. Knowing how to control your own emotions. What I cannot stand, and maybe, and I am biased because I tend to have a tempered temperament, meaning most people like to work for me because I'm a very level-headed person, right? I don't show a lot of emotion. I don't overreact to things. I believe in giving you enough space for you to do what you need to do. My expectation is that you do what you need to do, right? Like, so I'm inflexible in terms of a lot of excuses, but I am flexible in terms of letting you do what you need to do. You probably have even noticed it in the way I teach, right? There are a lot of educators that do what? They're very rigid. They want you to stay within the lines. You can't go outside the lines. It's not the case. I'm the person, just do what you say you're going to do. You don't even have to give me a big old story. Do what you say you're going to do. Miss Taylor, can I have a couple days to turn this in? All right, just do it. Just do it. Because if you don't do it, it's on you, right? So I'm not, that's how I am. Am I talking to some of y'all right now? Yes, I am. You know who you are. Do what you need to do. Class ends on tomorrow at 11:50. I mean, all assignments must be turned in. Y'all see how I'm sneaking that in, right? Wednesday at 11:59. Outside of your final and your last project, which you can turn in on Thursday at 9:59. Just do what you need to do. That's all I care about, right? So regulating your emotions is important. It is going to be the differentiator between you and somebody else. Sometimes it's not all about what you know, right? Can people stand to be around you? How about that? How about that, right? That's a big deal. You will lose a lot of opportunities from people just not being able to stand you. That's a big problem because you don't have enough emotional regulation, not because they don't like you as a person. You don't know how to control yourself. Let's just put it out there. All right, something else that you're going to have to contend with. This is something that I think is great, but in society where everybody tries to section themselves off, trying to preserve themselves. And one thing I do want to say, most of you guys are young enough, so I don't think you'll take offense to it. Technology is going to transform the way we live. Do we agree with that? A lot of people my age and older are in denial. They are in denial. I don't know what to tell them. I feel sorry for them, right? I'm in the Generation X category. We'll talk about this in a minute. And so I think we're on we got one foot in and one foot out. We didn't grow up on technology, but we started working with technology. I learned how to use my first computer at my first job at 19. So I didn't grow up with it in my classroom like most of you may have done, but I definitely, my business career grew up. I went through the stages of learning how computers work, and so when I started, I was a dummy. I was so dumb, y'all. Right out of the military, I went into computer science, and like an idiot, I changed my career. It was too boring for me. If I would have stayed, I would have been a millionaire by now. You know how much I would have kicked myself in the, oh, I'm so sick of myself. I am so sick. But that's what happens when you are young and you don't have good guidance. I wanted to be everything. I wanted to be in computers. I wanted to be in law. I wanted to be in medicine. I even volunteered at the hospital until I realized it made me sick on the stomach. Sorry for the VA people. I couldn't do it. So I kept bouncing all around until I, just landed on something. But my silly self, I should have stayed in computers, but that's okay. So when we talk about this multi-generational stuff, like I said, I like it because it is reality. Give me a thumbs up if you've ever worked for someone and your work bestie was at least 10 to 15 years younger or older than you. Anybody had any work? Aren't they the best? Aren't they the best? I love my little work. My first work bestie, I'll never forget. He was this man. I was in my 20s. I know he had to be like 45. We were in the military together and we were stationed in Illinois. He was the fun. Now I'm saying old man because to me, obviously back then he was old. I was like 25. He was like 45. But he was my road dog. We did everything together, nothing ever inappropriate. So if a young, impressionable young lady, he was like my brother, maybe because I had a brother, I was comfortable. And this man taught me everything. He had the best stories about what happened in the military. Any military people, y'all know how we tell the best fire chat stories when, the military has a hurry up and wait philosophy. So they'll rush you to do stuff and then you have to wait for your instructions. So you just chat a lot, So this guy he was my best work buddy. And then I had another work buddy who was she was like about a 25-year age difference. And, she would teach me everything and she would tell me so much. They were my best buddies. I don't know what it is about having an older best buddy, but they're the funniest people ever. Probably because they don't care. Now that I'm older, yeah, I get it because older folks, we don't care about too much after you get to a certain age. But you will be working with multi-generational people. It is just par for the course. Now, this group here, this first group, we call it the silent generation. I'm just going to say this is Congress. Most people in Congress, right? I can't think of any other place besides maybe education where you have people that fall within this particular age range, approximately 2% of the workforce, right? Most of these people are retired. Some of them doing part-time jobs. Maybe you see them at Target. Do they even still have that? Probably not anymore. Does Target still, is it Target or Walmart? I don't even know the difference. Do they still have the older greeters or something like that? Do y'all see that still?
Walmart
has that? Okay. I guess Walmart's still doing good in the neighborhood a little bit. They don't have to do that anymore, apparently, but I'm glad to see they're still doing that. All right. Value tradition and history, believes in hard work, and I'm all for it, because it did my grandparents and parents' generation. So, we Generation X people, we were brought up on, work hard, work hard, work hard. That's all we know is work hard, right? That's what we were been told, right? They do act as great role models for the younger generation. You work with this group, they always have a wonderful stories. They don't care about anything, right? Like all the stuff that we be like, oh my God, we're clutching our pearls for her. They're like, man, I lived through that and I'm still breathing. You'll be all right, right? So I think they make a great addition to a team because they help, you know, us younger folks sometimes walk through issues. Would you guys not agree? Like, so I do like that about the temperament of this particular age group, because they've probably seen and done it all by the time they get to that age. Now, the baby boom generation born between 44 and 64, they became a little bit more ambitious, right? You know, this is the fight the power, you know, they were, you know, young adults in the 70s, so you see them acting crazy a little bit. They still had a very strong work ethic, right? They started to be a little bit more coloring outside the lines, right? Y'all hear about the baby booms, one of the largest groups of people, because that's where they got the term baby boom from, because I guess when people came back from war, they was happy to see their spouses and a whole bunch of babies, right? But what happened with this generation, you know, this baby boom generation, this was like the awakening. People started to become more liberated. People, you know, obviously you had a lot of civil rights during this era. And so people started to be more independent and become outside thinkers. They started having less children, you know, which of course is a big issue nowadays. But you'll find this. And so you could be working with this group. Now, my group, this is me. Okay, shout out to Generation X. I don't know who else in the building. But Generation X, of course, I am going to be biased. Okay. I feel like we had the best music and the best time, you know. So during this generation, yeah, y'all know what it is. We still somewhat cool. Y'all know what it is, right? You know, we got one, like I said, we got one foot in, one foot out. You know, we're the generation that grew up on, you know, fight the power, be yourself, you know, push back against this, be independent, chart your own course. That's us, you know, the Obama era type people. But at the same time, we're cool enough to understand technology. We're cool enough to understand, you know, how the millennials get down and how, you know, you guys see life differently. And, you know, I'm your mama's generation. So y'all know we like I said, I think we kind of got one foot in and one foot out. Now we lean on tradition. I'm not gonna lie. You agree, Eva? We kind of lean on tradition, but we understand where the tide is shifting, right? Like we're still young enough to be like, well, I got 30 more years in the game. You know, I got time to play. You know, in terms of being a viable citizen, that's what I mean by that. Get your head out together. So I kind of like this generation, and I'll be honest. I feel like, you know, the change of guard needs to happen. When I do think they need to do, you know, not to be political, but like term limits in Congress, because like at some point you need to say, okay, let me sit down. Like you don't need to be falling asleep at the podium. Like, you know, what was that senator's name that finally stepped down? Y'all, y'all not Lindsey Graham, but the other one. Y'all know who I'm talking about? Like, come on. Like if you about to you need a cane to walk, it's time to sit down. Let the younger folks take over, right? You're doing too much. You know, I think 70 should be 75 should be 70. What y'all think? Do y'all think we should have term limits, age limits? Is it just me?
70.
In Congress, anybody agree? Go ahead, Alan. I don't know. Okay. Do you think that we should have term limits for the president? What do y'all think? Like I think there's something to be said clearly about, you know, being wise, right? And being prudent. Like you need to have a good take on history, you know, you right? Y'all be right. But at some point, imagine you going to your grandmother, your great grandmother, which is basically our current president's age, and asking them for advice. What are they going to do? They're going to give you the same advice that they was giving. Can you imagine? They're going to give you advice of their mama who was born in 1902? Because at some point, people do revert back to their early primitive years. We do. That's why you'll hear all the time older folks say back in my day, because during childhood up to 30, those are your primitive years. This is a time where you're who you are is formed and cemented, right? It doesn't mean that you don't continue to grow, but it's a big part of who you are. right? So you can only imagine somebody that is 80, somebody that, what they're thinking. Like, I just don't understand how they feel they can honestly guide the next group of generation. Like, I don't understand how they think they can do that. That doesn't mean that you can't. I mean, look at Warren Buffett. He's one of my heroes because I loved, the stock market and stuff like that. He's 93 and he's finally saying, okay, I think I can stop working. Really? Now, it doesn't mean that the man was killing himself. I'm sure he had a lot of great vacation time, running his own business. But I just don't know if I would want to do that until 93. I don't know. That's a lot. You understand? Anyway, so let me move past that. But will you be working with these types of people, these age groups of people? Yes, yes, you will, right? Yes, yes, TT. Yes. I got your text. Yeah. So you and guess what? Sometimes they will not always be your boss. Sometimes you will be the boss of those people. Why is that important? Well, y'all millennials, give me a thumbs up. Where my millennials at? Where my millennials at? Where my millennials at? Okay, millennials. Okay, I see y'all. You guys always make me laugh because your parents or your older siblings of my age group, so y'all swear that y'all know what time it is. You LL Cool J wannabe types, but y'all know what time it is because you was in the back seat when we was pumping it in the front seat. So I guess you still know what time it is. Oh, you guys tickle me. But I love this group because they grew up on technology. Many of these people, they had in high school, more flexible. They look at life a lot more different. I love my millennials, but let me tell you, so I really love Gen Z. A lot of people talk crap about Gen Z and Gen Z's in the building. I love them because knowledge is power for me. I do not like somebody that does not know something. It drives me nuts. But I'm a thinker, right? So they say people are ruled by their head or they're ruled by their heart. That's a scientific thing. Look it up. I am ruled by my head. That means I think. I'm the type of person that says, let me tell you what I think. I don't say, let me tell you how I feel. Like, if you're ever interested in knowing what type of person you are, you can do your research on that. So me, I love thinkers. I love knowledge people. I love people to know. Now, you guys, y'all need to be a little bit more prudent on where you're getting your information. Don't think just because it's on the internet, that means it's true. Anybody that knows how to type can put something on the internet. You need to go back to academic learning where you need to make sure it comes from something that is peer reviewed, something that you can trust. Now, back in the day, you used to be able to trust the government, but now I don't know about that. I might want to take a back seat to that. I wouldn't trust nothing that came out after 2020. I probably wouldn't trust none of that now, unfortunately. But back in the days, you used to be able to trust what came out of .gov websites, but .org is still prudent. Go to the library and look at a book, right? That's the only thing you can trust nowadays, right? But do your own research. And I love this group. You guys are pushing back against it. You're asking questions. You're not just letting these old people tell you whatever and you just saying, that's true. That's how old folks used to do, because back in their day, they did not have the internet. The only thing they had was a television. So y'all can understand why everybody's trying to control the news, because that is how you control the masses. And those people that grew up during those time frames, they couldn't question anything. If it's on the news, it must be true. Right. And so now you see why these older people are trying to control the news outlets. I don't know if you guys watch news, but that's because that's how they grew up. And that's why I think it's funny, because I'm like, baby, nobody's watching the news. How many people watch the news? Exactly. Maybe a few of us. Okay, I asked the wrong question. How many people believe the news? That's even a better one, right? Like it's like entertainment nowadays, right? Who believes the news, right? It's like watching I don't know. I don't believe a word that comes out of their mouth. It's not even news now. Back in my day, when people delivered the news, you never knew how the newscaster felt. They never talked anything personal. You never knew. Nowadays, it's just entertainment weekly. That's not even real news, my friend. That it matters if you have to really pay attention to it, especially if it's on cable. It's not news. It's called entertainment television or something like that. It's not called news. A lot of people don't even know that, because most journalists are supposed to be impartial and unbiased. They're just supposed to deliver the facts, and you deal with it how you want to deal with it, right? But nowadays, good luck with that. All right. But Gen Z, I love when you guys are thinking critically. The only thing you need to understand is that, you're going to have to deal with people from all backgrounds. Now, one thing I'm going to tell you that a lot of people don't understand: differences have less to do with, believe it or not, culture and color. And it has more to do with age and money. I don't care where, and there's plenty of research. Do your research. I don't care what part of the earth you are from. If you are a multimillionaire, you are a multimillionaire. And you probably live like a multimillionaire. Would you not agree? And they probably all do the same stuff that all multimillionaires do. I don't care what part of the earth they are from. I do not care what part of the earth you are from. If you are broke down, dirty, poor, you are broke down, dirty, poor. If you are hungry, you are hungry. I don't think one side of the earth stomach growls any different from another person's stomach. Is that not the case? Now, we may argue about what does middle class looks like in between, but they've even done some research on that. They did a TED Talk, several TED Talks about, they plucked out a very wealthy person, a very poor person, and a middle class person around the globe, and they all look the same, because money dictates how you live. It don't matter where you live. Would you not agree? Something else that dictates is your generation. All of us, even though we cross over some generations, and I'm going to say probably the last 3 generations, Z, Y, and X, we will all be telling our grandkids the same thing. Y'all, there was a time, it was called COVID, and y'all, we were on shutdown. And only our generation, I'm not talking about the side, they'll be dead. I'm talking about our generation 30 years from now that will still be alive, preferably. We will all talk about COVID. Will we not? And that is across the globe. We all understand what that means. That is a generational thing. That is what weaves people together. The reason why we have these older folks in Congress, and I'm tired. I know I'm teased about Congress, and they have the thinking that they have, even how they see things globally, is because of how they grew up. That's why I kind of feel sorry for them, because if they grew up on, this war and that war and these things happen, that's how they're going to think. And I get it. I still don't play about washing my hands. COVID has messed me up. I was a little bit of a germaphobe. Now I don't play. I wash my hands so much. Anybody else like that COVID that messed you up? I don't allow my kid to eat. They wash your hands before, after, during. Don't touch nothing. It has messed me up. I'm being honest. COVID is still in the back of my mind, and probably will inform my decisions for many, many years to come, because that's a generational thing that only we understand. The same way Depression era was for the people before us, the same way World War II was for people that before them, the same way those of us that was around for 9/11, how that is impressed upon us. And you can't shake that, right? You can't shake that. You can't, somebody that's younger can't tell you, oh, that was a long time ago. You don't want to hear it. Is that not the case? So you will be dealing with a lot of different multi-generational people, and I say embrace it, because I think there's positives and negatives from all of it, but it just really just depends upon how you think about it, right? So that's it, my friends. And we just wanted to talk about that as we wrap up and getting you prepared, getting your mind ready to get in the game so you can start your new job. All right. I want you guys to be great. Here's your conference question for today. Here's what I want to know. I want you to find a company in your career that you believe you would like to work for. Some of you, this is your last class. Some of y'all are actively looking for, positions. Find a company and try to do some research on that company, because we all know by now it needs to make sense for our goals, right? Find at least 3 things about that company. 3 things about that company that is of interest to you, whether it's where they're located, because maybe you want to move, how big they are, because maybe you want to stay there for 5 years or more, but you want to make sure that you can get promoted. Do you care about their mission statement? Things that you really care about. Don't just do the assignment for me, guys. This is not for me. This is for you, right? This is to help you really start to think about, okay, as I do research for the company I want to work for, what do I want, right? All right, this is your question for the day. Draco, stay back for a sec, all right? Eduardo, you too. This is your question for today. All right, my friends, I will see you guys tomorrow. Remember, get it in, get done. Let me go back and open up as much as I can. Thank y'all. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Hasta mañana. Hasta luego. Arrivederci. All right. Let me go ahead and stop the recording really quickly, guys, before we